All right, today is Wednesday, April 9th. We're going to call to order the meeting, the final meeting for this school year of the School Health Advisory Council. My name is Shelby Balzer. I am the Assistant Superintendent of Kerrville ISD. Our co-chair is Miss Karen Ann King from the Texas Lions Camp, and also with us from Central Office is Miss Cheryl Manchester, who helps us work on the SHAC agendas. So calling to order, we have two things on the agenda today. One is to talk about capturing kids' hearts, and if you remember, that is from our last meeting with Miss Weiser. Miss Weiser can't be with us today. She's on a campus working on some things. We talked about the requirement to send out a campus culture climate survey to our kids anonymously to address specifically how they feel about their experience on a campus, and access to information about bullying prevention, safe spaces, that kind of stuff. So we got those results back. We shared that with the SHAC last meeting. And one of the things that we kind of honed in on as some of the skills that we use for developing that campus culture and climate was capturing kids' hearts. At this point, for the district, there are 3 campuses that are trained in capturing kids' hearts: Hal Peterson, Starkey Elementary, and then our, Tom Daniels, yes, Tom Daniels Elementary. This coming summer, it will go to Nimitz, it will go to Tally, and the high school will have it. And we're working on Capturing Kids' Hearts is a program. It does not have an ECC component yet for our early college. Not early college. I guess it is sort of early college.
Way early college.
Yeah, way early college. Our early childhood center. But we are kind of developing a program that will align with Capturing Kids' Hearts. So really for students entering us at the youngest ages, our 3s and 4s, even though they really can come to us at 6 weeks in Tybee Child Development Center, all the way up, we'll have the same terminology. That's our long-term goal. And so after this summer, and I say summer, but it's job embedded, so in our professional development week, much like Hal Peterson's experience, those campuses will get that training. And then across the district, we will have Capturing Kids' Hearts in place, and then just continue to get really good at that. One of the things that Capturing Kids' Hearts does, it always starts a meeting with good news. Yeah, the good things, right? And so you kind of have to get your mindset into that. It's something I have not officially been trained in Capturing Kids' Hearts. I'm going this summer. And so it's one of those things you got to get your mind kind of wrapped around of, which is obviously a great refocus. So I asked Hal Peterson Middle School to come over, because they're kind of in between elementary, obviously, and high school, to come over and share what Capturing Kids' Hearts does and the setup. And it works out because we have some elementary or some middle school teachers here, Coach Davis, Ms. Haroon, who are on the SHAC or participating in SHAC today, but they can also help Ms. Gonzalez speak to what is Capturing Kids' Hearts, what's the core of it, and then what it looks like on campus. So I'm going to turn it over to our associate principal from Hal Peterson, Ms. Rose Gonzalez.
So I'll start with the training that we took during in-service, and it really was a phenomenal training. It brought us all together because we did team building, and we all sat in, we broke up into groups. We talked with each other. We had to share certain things. We had to bring something to share with everybody and talk about something that really changed our lives or impacted our life. And at that moment, we had grown men crying. Big grown men, coaches, just ugly crying. But they were sharing what impacted their life. And it really was a moving moment because we were able to really get to know each other and talk with each other. And so everybody had something to share, things that we didn't know anything about. We did not know certain things about certain staff members. So it was really a moving moment. But at that moment, we really had buy-in. And it was building those relationships with each other and then taking that back to the classroom and on the campus. So, outside of classrooms, when we do our walkthroughs, we do have pick 6 little flyers, and when we go do our walkthroughs, we sign off on it, and there's just things that we see. Some of the things that we look for, are the social contracts, a greeter, someone coming in, sharing those things, talking to us, and then as well as, somebody who's sharing the good things. Who's sharing the good things? Are they elaborating, asking questions? And so that's just a couple of the things that we look for on those Pick Six. But what we do is when we go through as admin team, when we go through and do the walkthroughs, we look for those particular things, the launches, good things and so forth, and sign off on those when we leave. And that just recognizes how our staff members are implementing it. We try to go in at different times so we can catch various things throughout that time period. In addition to that, the students know it is expected. We're going to share good things. We're going to talk about the good things. And we're not just going to say, oh, I went to Six Flags. Who'd you go to Six Flags with? What rides did you go? What rides did you get on? Which rides did you not get on? And just talk about those things and really build those relationships with the kids. And the one most important thing I think about all of this is at the end of class period is launching them off. And that's what we say. When we say launch, we're looking for what are you saying to end the class period to just remind them you're here, you're human, we care about you. We have some teachers who are high-fiving, make good choices. Some teachers that are saying, I love you, don't forget, you matter, various things. And so it's a great program to build relationships and just have those kids understand we care about them, we're here, and we're all in this together. So is there anything that you want to share?
I think the biggest thing is, it's not one more thing to do. It helps kind of your flow of your class, get them going. Okay, in my class, I choose captains weekly, and, they get to choose who they want to pick for the good things, so then it's not me just picking the same student. They choose their good things, and then we go back to the social contracts. Well, when they stick on the wall, we go back to the social contract. They chose all these words that they wanted to help hold their classmates accountable for and that they thought were good qualities in each other. And so then you can just go back wow, you're really being responsible. And then they're like, oh my gosh, I'm doing something on the wall. And so then it makes it easier for you if someone's not doing what they're supposed to. Then you could also be okay, are they being responsible, or are they being courteous, or whatever it is that we said. And then they have someone in the class that's supposed to rate us on how well we're doing. I don't do that as well just because it's so much, but I've seen teachers who do that in their classrooms, and they really buy into that. 2 out of 5, we got to do better. Let's step up our game. So I really feel it's just not one extra thing that you have to do. It's kind of just helps the flow of your class go a whole lot better.
And for me to get it started, I have slides up on my screen for when they come in so they know what to get, what's expected of them. And I just have it built in there. I have a slide every day that says good things, but I added to it at the top, this is our good things. Mm-hmm. This isn't my classroom. This isn't your classroom. This is our classroom. And so when we refer to the social contract, it's our social contract. How did we do today as a class? It's not my classroom, this is your classroom, but it's my classroom too, and we've got to work together. And it's about building those relationships. The last, I would say maybe 3 weeks or so, I've added a student greeter at my door. And so they try to get to class a little bit sooner, and they come out and they high five. And so when I've done it, I'm at the front of the S wing, so I greet every student that comes into the wing just to say good morning, not just my students that come in the door. And so my student greeters have picked up on that, and so they're high fiving those, and they look at me like, they didn't high five me. And I was like, I know, that's how I feel when I say good morning and no one talks back. And so they understand. And then I have one student who usually is, sometimes he struggles with making good choices, but he wanted to leave good things one day. And so he came up and he did a fabulous job. And then he went and sat back down and immediately started talking. And I'm like, how do you feel when everybody was talking? Because he kept telling the kids, you need to be quiet, you need to listen. He had it down. He was you gotta be quiet so we can hear everybody's good things. And so when he went and sat back down and he was talking while I was trying to give instructions, I was like, how did it feel when they were talking while you're talking? He's like, I got you. And so it gives them that different perspective of the classroom. And then at the end of my slides, I have affirmations and ratings. And so, of course, my Horizons class, they have to get down to the nitty gritty, like, they're like 8.73. You know, it can't just be an 8 and it can't be a 9. But then I always ask them to justify why did you guys rate us as that? And they have to tell me, you know, what they did well, what they can improve on, what can we do better tomorrow, and what's our goal for tomorrow. And then we do an affirmation. We pick a word off the social contract that they did really well as a class, that we really, you know, they feel like we did really well on that word. And then my launch is just super easy. Mine's, you know, have a great day, I'll see you tomorrow, because it gives them that comfort that I'm going to be there tomorrow, not a sub. They know what to expect. It's the same routines. And then on Fridays, we do Fist Bump Friday. And so Fist Bump Fridays, have a good weekend, be safe, you know, have fun, but come back on Monday, be safe. And so now I have students who want to do a different thing, like they have Thumbs Up Tuesday. So they've added to my Fist Bump Friday, and they made me a list of what we could do for each day. So I thought that was cool. They are really starting to take ownership. Sorry to talk so much, but I really like the CKH. Like, I think it really does help the relationships with the kids on campus, and really taking that ownership, and that's going to transfer into learning later on, because they're going to start taking ownership of their learning and their grades and stuff when they feel like this is their classroom, this is their school, they have a safe place to come to. So.
We can't forget our dancing AP, Mr. Davis.
Oh my
Who's
goodness,
part of,
yes.
you know, that is capturing kids' hearts like no other in the mornings. And so we do, you know, it's good to see parents are happy, kids are happy. And so even when those mornings are rough and we're just trying to get there, he puts a smile on their face. So it's good to see.
It's nice to drive in and see him. He's always dancing and waving. He's even had students join him doing that, so it's really cool.
The elements of capturing kids' hearts, just so that we're clear, you know, when kids come in, they build the social contract, and so that's the buy-in, and it's essentially how are we going to operate in this classroom and treat the teacher and the students in the room. All of this kind of links for the district of what we're trying to get really good at, which is Tier 1 behavior, and we call it Tier 1 behavior prevention, which means we're going to put systems in place where kids know what choices are acceptable and which choices aren't acceptable, so that we don't ever get to have to go to Tier 2 consequences. And now, are we going to have kids? Yes, because they're kids. They're, you know, 3 years old to 18, 19 years old. They're going to make choices, but capturing kids' hearts is designed for them to understand that there's expectations for them, that they have a role in setting, and ultimately that the people in the building care about what their successes are, and then they have the ability to kind of help themselves along that path. And so again, we're looking forward to it in the district, getting from ECC all the way up to the high school, and kind of having consistent language. Now, remind me, there are 4 questions in capturing kids' hearts that...
What are you doing? What should you be doing? How are we going to do that? And it's just redirecting that behavior and guiding the students so that they can acknowledge what they should be doing, what they're doing, what they're not doing, what they need to be doing, and having them having some ownership and responsibility for their actions. And so it really does help them with that. Another thing as far as common language is, you know, the CKH known signal is timeout. And this is, you know, we don't have to say anything. We can just do this, and kids just stay quiet. They automatically know, okay, they're trying to get our attention. And so it's common vocabulary across the board.
And to build ownership in their place on the campus, and to their actions on the campus is what we're looking for. And so it does come with obviously quite a bit of training, and we always think about when you're doing something, our campuses this year are in year 1 of that. And so we're just continuing to provide support and grow that, so that we're establishing, again, the common language across the district, but the common atmosphere too, that kids know and are learning about, you know, how to interact with others in the world, and address conflict, all of the things that we are teaching in addition to ultimately the content. So
I think that consistency too, having social contracts in every single class, really helps that stability for them, because they're not like, oh, it's just this one teacher, it's not just science class. They know what a social contract is because they see it 7 times a day. And they got to help build it. And our campus did it really well where they gave each content area a day to focus on it.
Mhm.
So they weren't just inundated with doing social contracts all
For,
day long
for
every
one day,
class.
for 7 periods.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a
so
good design.
we did different days for each one, and you know, by the time they got to science on Wednesday, they were really invested already. So they already done it Monday and Tuesday in a different content area, and it helped the process because they understood it and they knew where they were going with it. So I think they did a really good job of rolling that
It'd be
out.
interesting to look at the contracts over the week, how detailed they got from Monday to Friday's contract content. It was like, oh, we're gonna put all of this in writing.
Yes.
We got some things we've given it some thought. Any questions about capturing kids' hearts, kind of next steps for the district or concerns, issues?
Could you repeat the 4 questions again?
So, the first question would be, what are you doing? What do you need to be doing? How are we gonna do that? And then last is, okay, now let's do that. So
What are
it's
the
not
steps
like-
you're gonna take?
Yeah, what steps you're gonna take, so just guiding the students.
And was this part of, I'm sorry, I was out and I forgot to look at my meeting notes from last, was this part of the survey that we did for the
Mhm.
camp, and we're trying to truly develop the culture, and this came out of that, or you had already put this in place?
No, we had already put this in
Oh,
place. So capturing kids' hearts serves 2 purposes in the district. One is obviously we want consistent climate across the campuses. We want consistent experiences for our kids in terms of, you know, how we love on them, how we guide them, all of the things that go beyond the content piece, which aligns to, you know, our profile of a graduate, like all these pieces that we want. And what we recognized is we needed to make sure that there was consistent language for that. So capturing kids' hearts became the tool for that. But it is also a behavior intervention. And so when we think about bullying prevention,
Yep.
Suicide prevention, all of these pieces that we manage and train on and support, well, this becomes the tool to say, we're creating a culture where kids have buy-in and have a relationship built with, maybe not all 7 periods of teacher, but there's a relationship in one of the 7, and so that they feel confident that they have somebody to go to or report to. So it helps us with our bullying prevention strategies, and it helps us with them understanding behavior expectations. So those behavior expectations aren't different from campus to campus. I mean, obviously the student code of conduct drives that, but those 4 questions are designed to give you an opportunity as a student to articulate, what are you supposed to be doing? Why aren't we doing it? What are the steps we need to take in order to do that? Okay, now, like, what's your plan? So the ownership goes back to the student as opposed to a teacher going, you're not supposed to be running, you know, you go to the office. That's an extreme example, but giving them, like, what are our expectations for how we should be acting and how we should operate with one another, which ties all of those things that we don't want our kids to engage in, which is obviously bullying. We don't want them to have mental health struggles. We don't want them, you know, to be struggling with suicides or thoughts of suicides because they don't have a place to call home. We're going to tackle those with capturing kids' hearts.
I love it.
That's the goal. And
I think asking those 4 questions, also those hard to reach kids that are just like, you want to correct them and then they're just gonna not accept that, it's a lot easier on them because they'll tell you, well, I'm talking. Okay, well, what are we supposed to be doing? Listening. All right, well, let's do it. Like, instead of like, you're not supposed to be talking while I am, you know, like, then it becomes a
Yeah.
battle. That this helps smooth that over.
it gives an avenue for our teachers to address things consistently, as opposed to saying, you know, especially at this time of year where you're like, I've had enough, right? You've dealt with, maybe you've dealt with it all year, but now I've had enough. And instead, I've been asking the same question all year. What are we supposed to be doing? Well, I'm talking, you're not supposed to be talking. Okay, what are you going to do about that? Very similar to the example that you gave. And so it keeps an even keel on how do we address situations and how do we redirect students.
I really like that you're doing it district-wide, and that you're looking into the rest of the school districts being trained for the next school year. It'll be, it'll be a long-term project, but it really would be a great opportunity for us to see those kindergartners coming in at any of our campuses, moving all the way up to high school. They're getting the same message. What the hard part is being consistent in doing
Yes.
that, because as we all know as parents,
Yeah.
follow through is the hardest part.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's just, I think it's great, and I think you really have, holistically, you're looking at it, because there's so many things in that will keep, yeah, I'm impressed. I'm sorry I missed the last meeting now.
No worries.
No, I was out of the country.
The other element I think for capturing kids' hearts long term is the expectation that this is not inexpensive training. It's rather expensive training, so we've made an investment to do that. Is the consistency that we know with teacher turnover and just retirement, different reasons, but that we have to stay consistent with keeping new people in the district also trained, and so we don't lose that over time. And so that's a consideration, but an investment for us. That's great. Yeah.
So we've started a classroom session in our basketball program, and Coach Francis is in charge of it. And so now that I'm hearing this is where he's bringing this from.
Yes.
And it's been remarkable for our kids. I mean, now they're starting to talk a little bit more.
Right.
So we're trying to develop some leaders in our program and get kids out of their shells, and it's working.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's
Giving them a
whatever you're
voice.
doing at the junior high, he's bringing it over to the high school for our boys, and it's making a difference. So.
Sure. For clarification, so Coach Francis teaches at the junior high, but coaches at the high school. And so he uses capturing kids' hearts in his classroom, and now he's taken it to his high school coaching setting, and then is using the skills. And so very powerful for kids, but also very powerful for teachers too.
Yeah, I mean, Coach Keller and I said the same thing. I'm learning.
Mhm.
You know, this session here on Friday mornings benefits me also. He's like, Coach, well, that's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be with the kids. Well, it's helping me.
We're all learning, right?
Are there kids that don't share? I mean, like,
So in the training, and you guys can jump in and speak to this, I haven't sat in a full training. I've sat in bits and pieces. And I was in capturing kids' hearts, but I won't date myself, but it's been a bit. And so that has evolved some over time. But they spend a lot of time in the training talking about good things and how to address situations that are going to come up in class when what a kid shares might not be a good thing, or if a kid doesn't want to share, or how you can approach a kid who maybe doesn't ever share. And so that's all part of what they equip the staff with to handle. It's not okay, you're going to start your class every day and this is how it's going to go. And it's going to be perfect, right? That is not it. And so I was in that more recently in that part of the training, and they do have, very specific proven tactics to get kids to engage, and then what to do for the other students in the room when it's not good news. A kid comes back in and shares something that is the kid's just sharing it, and it's hard news. And so how they respond to that is pieces of the training. But yes, all going to happen. Yeah.
And you can let it go for 1 minute, or sometimes, like in my class, second period, we have 60 girls, so they're like,
PE.
all want to share, so we don't get to work out, right? They want to just, I'm like, okay, 3 more, let's go.
They're
Like,
on to the game.
Yeah.
I'll share 2. You share 3 things. I'll share 3 things.
Yes.
We're never gonna break sweat today.
And to talk to the longevity of the program, we also have a team on our campus that are the process champions, that we've gone and done some further training, and we bring it back to the campus. So we try to implement it in small little tasks, like we started with good things. That was what we tried to get all teachers on board with, is good, or we'll start with social contracts. But then we added good things and tried to get every class to do good things. And then we're rolling out, now we're doing the launches and the ratings. And so there's a lot to it, but it's one of those things, it's a learning process, not only for the kids, but for the teachers too, because you have to learn how to implement it into your classroom and be consistent with it and do it. But we do bring it back, that advanced training, and do PDs with the entire staff. And so we start our meetings off with good things, and we, have a social contract for our campus. So the teachers have that, and we have it posted up in our design lab. So, it's not one of those things that, oh, we're gonna train and then we're gonna forget about it next
Right.
year. We are consistently bringing back new information and adding pieces to the puzzle.
And that's part of our commitment with the district is the ongoing training. So keeping it alive on campuses and supporting campuses to do that. So, yeah, part of it. Any other questions, comments about capturing kids' hearts?
In my class, it's
Oh.
it's a BIP room.
Yes.
So, we have kids with all kinds of walks of life. Majority of our kids are not raised by like parents and, have this, that, and the other going on. So at the end of what me and my co-teacher do is at the end, because like you said, there's kids that want to share bad things because they want somebody to listen and feel heard. So at the end of the class, like we let our launches, like we let the kids like have like social time and they'll kind of talk to each other. And then if anybody wants to share something bad, then we go to another side and they can share it with us, and then we kind of just talk through it. It also builds, because we also teach social skills, so it also helps them talk about it. But we let them have that safe space to share their bad thing, because that's what they want to talk about, and then usually it makes a difference, because then we're like, they were kind of teetering, you don't know what kind of day you're going to have, and then after that we don't see them, they're smiling, and and they'll kind of follow up and like, oh, it did get better. Or, oh, it's going to get better, So we give them that space to share that negative thing too if they need to.
And that's, just so you know, that's translating into my classroom too, because one of those kiddos was having a bad day and I was asking, are you okay? Is there something I can help with? And he just kind of looked. And I'm like, no, I genuinely want to know
Right.
what's going on so I can help you. And he just spilled it all, but he didn't want to say anything until he knew that I really cared.
That you
And
wanted
once
to
I
know.
cared,
Yeah.
then he shared that experience with me and we were able to talk through it, and he was able to come down and do that and then come back to class and have a successful
Reset.
rest of class.
Right.
So it's, they're learning those skills like you said, but it's also translating into the classroom, and they're able to open up to teachers and advocate for themselves and what they need.
Awesome. Anything else capturing kids' hearts? All right, our next item on the agenda is PE instruction update, and so this is just a yearly task for the SHAC, which is to hear about how we're addressing physical education at each level. We do not have an ECC PE teacher. There's not a thing for that. But I can assure you, if you go over there, you're going to see them very active all of the time. Lots of play going on over there, but there's not a specific curriculum for ECC at this time. But I'm going to let our we have elementary from Nimitz and from Tally. I was like, for a second there, I was like, I got that wrong. For Tally, and then Coach Davis is here from the middle school, and Mr. Demery is here from the high school. So who of you wants to go first to talk about what PE looks like on your campus, how many kids kind of are in there? Miss Coach Davis is pointing the finger anywhere else but herself. Okay.
Presentation.
All right, Coach Lovelady is our PE teacher at Nimitz Elementary, so go ahead.
So I have a pretty fantastic job because we get to see at our level all of the children in the entire school. And so at our school in particular, we even have the life skills unit, and even the majority of those kids come. And the ones that physically can't do it, they'll bring in just to have the experience of being there. The other side of that is at our level, kids love to come to PE. We're like their favorite place to be. So that of course makes the job better, but genuinely our goal is to find something that they're going to continue to do for the rest of their life, lifetime fitness. And at my school in particular, it's exposure a lot of times because they're not getting the opportunities that some kids do. Some of them do, but some of them are not getting the opportunities outside of school to participate in exercise things that they very much need. And so we get to show them something for the first time and really hook them in and hope that they will continue to do that for the rest of their life or even through just our school system. I see the kids 1st through 5th grade 2 times a week for 50 minutes. Kindergarten is a little bit different, and it depends year to year on our enrollment and scheduling with the other parts of our specials group. As of right now, we see our kindergarten kids 2 times for 25 minutes only. which doesn't seem like a lot, but I assure you, it's plenty.
It is enough.
But it really is perfect. I've done it both ways. Some years we'll go back to 2 classes for 50 minutes at a time. Like I said, it just depends. I really prefer this way the best because they are on task that entire time moving, and we have little behavior problems, so it's pretty excellent. A typical day for all the grades, we do attendance to make sure we're safe if anything should happen. We stretch. We usually do a mini health lesson. We do some sort of warm up, which I like to keep more cardio in disguise, like they can play a game, but they're getting their cardio time in. And then typically we will work on skill work, play a game that reinforces that skill work, and then just wrap up our lesson. We try to keep our activities as far as our scope and sequence goes with the sports that are going along, because I think that like at the high school levels or middle school levels, because I think that's very motivating for kids if they can go catch a game, or they know the football game's coming on Friday, you know, or are playing it themselves and they just want to show off their skills because they're in YMCA and they know how to serve already or whatever it is. So we do volleyball, football, gymnastics. Fitnessgram testing comes at about Christmas time, then basketball right after Christmas. Right now, currently, we're doing a little track and little Olympics for our older kids and soccer, and then we'll get into some kickball, baseball, and mixing tagging games and stations and just PE games and things that they need in there. And health, I like to start all of them with why we come to PE, why it's important they come. The older ones learn more a little specific heart information, risk factors for heart disease, and that ties into eating right and appropriate amounts of exercise and aerobic exercise and things like that. Then at Thanksgiving time, just because we think of food at that time, I like to start covering My Plate nutrition and what they're getting and how to do a balanced diet. It's really kind of cool once we get that all together to pull the lunch menus and see if they can just, you know, figure out what food goes where, because we don't always get those lessons. And hydration is important too, that we talk about next. Then goal setting, going along with the fitness components. And then towards the end of the year, we do sun safety, road safety, and water safety. Some extra things we do at school that are PE related. We do at Christmas time, we get the entire grade level into our gym for one day a week and do like a mini field day. We call it reindeer games, where we just do silly relay races to have fun, and the kids love it. We also do a walkathon right the Friday before spring break usually, and the kids are out all day walking. It is the best day of the year. They earn they get credit for their laps, and they can earn certain snacks, which I will say are some junk food, so don't judge us, but they are earning that through their physical activity. It's an awesome day. We have hardly any complaints about how much exercise they're actually doing. This year we made it a color walk, so they got sprayed with chalky color. It was a mess, but it was awesome. And then the music teacher is really awesome at our school too. She comes in for about a 2-week period. We combine our class with her class, and we do folk dancing unit in the gym, which you would think kids would not be about, and they might have that sneaky attitude when we started. But as we watch and the week goes on, they are enjoying it more than they think they are, which is awesome too, because that's another exposure to something they may not have thought they liked until they did it. She also does a drumtastic program. She's pretty intense with following instructions, but her performances are amazing. So if you can catch one of those, drumtastics is like a big exercise ball that they drum on, and they follow through the rhythmic, you know, all the rhythmic tics that we need to follow, but it's just awesome. And they're getting some exercise too, so it's hitting those kids that maybe thought they were music kids and getting some, you know, physical activity, and that's extra as well. Sometimes with our PBIS, our carnival that we did at the end of the year, and then we will do again this year, has a little bit of PE element of like maybe jumping castle or something like that. But one of our incentives this year to keep kids behaving well and earning it was to provide a dodgeball game for the kids that wanted to cash in on it. And so that was another place for us to get in a little extra activity, and of course they all wanted to do that. So, and then next year, we were going to do it at the end of this year and it just didn't work out, but our music teacher has ordered some exercise bands, and again we're going to combine our classes, and they're like tinkling, if you've ever experienced that, where you're hitting the sticks together and someone's jumping in the middle, kind of jump rope-ish, but instead of banging the sticks, there's actually an active person on each side too, and we're going to see how that works out. It's gonna take some work, but the challenge is good.
Prior to transitioning this role, I'd never seen elementary PE, and now I see it regularly, as often as I can, and it's pretty impressive. Yeah,
Mhm.
pretty impressive.
Okay, well, she
All right, Ms.
kind of
Smithson.
covered everything.
Yes.
So I'll add where I can. So this is my second year at Tally, and before that I was at Starkey for 5 years with Dylan Warren, who before that worked with her. So a lot, I mean, literally a lot of what she's saying, you know, we're kind of in sync as far as we like to set up our curriculum throughout the year to follow KISD athletics as well as YMCA, just because more exposure gives them outlets to encourage them to go and try something new, get involved with sports. And so we kind of do all the same sports and then kind of mix in game units, things like that in between. We cover heart information as well, or different health information. We just wrapped up, this was something new that I can add to that, but this year I have a good friend who works for the, I don't know what you would say, the cardiologist team and department at Peterson Regional Medical Center, and she had reached out to us, Jenna Cummings, and wanted to get every fifth grader in KSD jump rope, just to kind of promote, bring back the old school jump rope for heart that we probably all remember back in the day. We don't really do that now, but anyways, and so I was more intentional this year, especially during February, because that's Heart Awareness Month, that's when we started covering risk factors for heart disease, and we just wrapped up last week. It's 10 weeks of risk factors you can't change, can change, and then we did a jump roping unit, which I was kind of shocked. I mean, we have jump ropes a lot of times when we do stations, but to do a unit and to see like how many kids actually don't know how to jump rope
It's a
and
hard
can't
skill.
figure out, you know, I was like, okay, well, we're going to start back at square one, you know, but, and that was probably in fifth grade, you know, because fifth grade, they're kind of on the way out, they're too cool, and so you've got to get buy-in, and they were probably the most excited about these jump ropes that they got to leave with, you know, and so I gave it at the end of the week and at the end of the unit, and then I even had some come back, and a parent of one of the children asked if I had any extras, because his son was challenging him at home to see how many, you know, and so it always surprises you what the kids latch on to, and I think that's what I would say when it comes to PE is, you know, there are some kids, although they love PE because they get to play all the games, there are some kids who just hate, they're not good at sports, I don't, you know, and so I want PE in my gym to be a place where they feel safe to try something new and they feel safe to fail, and you know, you never know what you're going to be at, and so so with the sports units, there's not going to be every kid is going to succeed or go on to play sports or even want, you know, so trying to find what makes that kid kind of tick and what makes them come alive, and helping them to feel safe to be, you know, and it's not just being good, but being part of something bigger than themselves and being part of a team.
Sure.
And learning communication and teamwork. And we have the BIP unit at Tally, and so, you know, they'll slowly kind of have some of them come in and join. And so, you know, really getting the kids to kind of learn how to pull some of the other kids in and take them under their wings and cheer them on. So it's not an explosive time together or anything like that. But that was something new this year. Something else new, just in regards to health and fitness, at Tally, I started Tally Trotters, which is a before school. It's optional, but like a running, walking club. And so beforehand, you know, a lot of kids would come, they get to school, you know, if mom has to drop them off early, and they would either, the older kids all sit in the gym for 30, you know, 40 minutes, or they go to the cafeteria if they're younger, kinder first, and sit there. And so this is just an option for them to get up and get moving, so that when they go to the classroom, they've kind of been able to get some of their jiggles out and kind of be able to focus more than had they just sat in the gym for 40 minutes, and now they're sitting, listening to more instruction. And it's been super successful. It is optional, and some kids don't get there till late, but we probably have half of the student population that come and do it, not every day, but like the youngers, K through second go on Monday, Wednesdays, and then the olders have the option on Tuesday, Thursdays to go. And so if they get there anytime between 7:10 and 7:35, they go pick up, we have like a little card system, they go grab their card and go out to the track, and we have staff that have stepped in to help me out, and so they each have a day of the week they go out there, and they just get a mark on their card for every time they do a lap, and some kids really get into it, and even if some kids don't, they like getting out there, and it's a chance for them to walk and talk with their friends, And then we acknowledge, or once they hit different milestones, so beginning at half marathon, full marathon, and then every 13.1 miles, they'll get, a different thing. It might be a little charm for their feet, for their shoelaces, or a t-shirt, or a water bottle. And anyway, so I think that has helped, and at least I know teachers have said that's helped for some of their kids. Just, who come in, gives them an outlet, especially before tests and different things, just to kind of wears them out a little bit, helps them to focus better. So we have that. We also have kind of similar, and I think y'all do it there, you mentioned it, like a toe token program. So right now, a lot of the big kids are doing Little Olympics and getting ready for that. The little kids go out to the track every day for a certain amount of time, and they get a popsicle stick every time they complete a lap, and then they are trying to work their way up to different tiers to get a little fit charm, and it's amazing, like some kids, you've never seen them run a day in their life. You even, do a warm-up lap, and it takes forever, and then you just give them an incentive, like, hey, if you get and all of a sudden they're like the fastest kid, and running more laps than they've ever. So anyway, those are kind of some big things. How we have going on. We have field day. Our field day is at the end of the school year, and so that's when we'll have everyone out there and doing all the different stations. But
Awesome. Thank you. All right, Christopher, we're just going to go in order up. So, middle school.
So middle school PE, well, in 6th grade, they have the option of pre-athletics or PE. So anybody who wants to think that they want to be in athletics, they join pre-athletics. So our PE class is kids who do not want to play sports or be competitive a lot of times, but they do get PE every single day, so that's a big change for them. Coming from elementary, though, wow, we have to do this every day? Yes, it's going to be great. But what we try to do is alternate a game day with a fitness day, but fitness not being like go out on track and run, more cardio game like. Sometimes it is go out and run, but a lot of times it's how can we make this fun where you don't realize that you're running for 30 minutes. And so then we alternate that with the game day where we try to teach different sports throughout the year, and a lot of them we try to show them how they can do that lifelong. Like, yeah, you may not be an athlete per se, but you could still, when you get older, go out and play sand volleyball or pickleball or badminton or things out in the backyard with your family or whatever. So we like to do 3-week units of whatever game. We do volleyball, we do flag football, we do badminton, indoor soccer, basketball, ultimate frisbee, team handball, pickleball will be our next thing. We do have some stuff for indoor hockey. They don't really like that because the rule is you can't bring it above your waist, and so they have to bend over too far because some of them are adult size and we have kid size equipment. So, but what we do is we 2 to 3 days in that first week we'll teach them all the skills required to play the game. So volleyball, you're teaching them how to pass and serve. And then we let them pick teams, choose team captains. They get to choose their team color, their team name. They really get into that. And then the captains are in charge of their team for that unit. So we do like a round robin tournament those 2 days of the week. Let them play. By the end, they're really into it. Even the ones that aren't that great, can't catch a ball, they can learn how to play defense or whatever it is. And so we try to talk strategy one day, try to talk like role playing, like not everyone's going to be the star of the show, but what is it that you are capable of doing for your team? And then with the competition is the sportsmanship aspect of all of that, because there are the kids that for whatever reason, religious or whatever, they can't be in the pre-athletics class, so they're ultra aggressive and very athletic. And then we have the kids that could care less that they're even in the gym. So we got a wide variety. We also get some of the flu unit kids, behavior unit kids, and then general ed, so it's a wide variety of students in the classroom. And then, so 6th grade is separate right now, so we have a 6th grade class, and then there's, I guess, 2 periods for pre-athletics, which is totally different. We go through all the sports for athletics to compete in. And then 7th and 8th grade PE follows very similar to what we do in 6th grade. It's just like more advanced skills since they've already done it in 6th grade. Like in volleyball, if we only did passing and underhand serving, then they would do overhand and underhand passing and setting to see if we can increase their skill. We do have to do the fitness gram. Here recently, we've tried to make it more like incentive, like kind of basically tricking them into working super hard. Like, so today for fitness, we're gonna go out and we are gonna do like a ladder on the track, say like a 400, a 300, a 200, and 100. But if you finish the 400 in under 3 minutes, which is a long time, but they'll go super fast, then you can stop at the 400 mark. If you don't, then you have to run your 3 minutes or whatever. So then they're like, yes, let's go. You know, and they should be able to run the 400 in under 2 minutes, but you just give them that little bit of challenge, then they get after it for the most part. And then in 7th and 8th grade, right now you only need 2 credits between 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And so there's not a lot of 8th graders that come to PE. And then we also have another class, Fit for Life, not in 6th grade, but in 7th grade, you have the option of PE, Fit for Life, or athletics. And Fit for Life is, I guess, like a challenge base. It's fitness. They run and they lift and they play games, but it's like personal goal setting, I guess. So the coach has 10 different challenges. Say one's running the mile, one's running the 400, one's pull-ups, push-ups,